Well, welcome back to the BVI, Martin. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Russell.
You look very well.
Thank you.
What are you doing that I'm missing?
It's kind of life in the Caribbean, no? So I missed it so much after 2 years Mexico, so I came back and look what it did to me.
Yeah, I see you've just done quite a few things at the hotel too, upgrading and renovating.
Yeah.
How much money did you spend?
So, that's kind of something I like to do, spend other people's money, no? I did the same at Little Dick, so I did good there with, 40, 50 million, and I did the same thing again at the Guanahani in St. Mark's.
It looks beautiful.
So, it's a lovely property.
How's business?
Business is excellent. So certainly over the last 2 years, it needed some work. So kind of the renovations were a necessity in order to have the product that everybody was expecting. And so that we could meet or actually exceed the guest expectation, which is kind of as a room product we do now. So I've been working to put a little bit of structure in there, change the website, new completely full rebrand. So new logo, new presentation, and then as well the technology. So so we are the first hotel that had actually the fiber optic cable. So in order to provide the services to the guests, and because as you know these days, and as well we're actually the most family-friendly hotel on the island. So we do have a number of families, and then each family these days comes with 5, 6 different devices. And of course they all want to get online immediately at the same time.
Everywhere they go.
So hence that we did that as an infrastructure project pretty early on, and so now it pays off. So it was kind of a very weak element, and now if I look at my guest comments, it hardly gets ever mentioned again.
It's not an issue.
So
where does most of your guests come from?
I think, like most of the Caribbean, the US.
The US, okay.
So we do have around 60%. Partially now, I think, because the US economy is kind of picking up. We have as well the accessibility that is there, either through St. Martin, and then it's a 7-minute hop over, or through San Juan, and you have Tradewind Aviation now that flies directly into St. Martin's. Then because we're French, so we have nearly 18% of our business is French. And then we have been in Brazil for a very long time. And that has paid off too. So we actually have 15% of our business is from Brazil.
I think we went down in 2013 to begin some work for the BVI, and actually one of the areas, one of the properties that I mentioned that is had been doing quite well was your property. So you certainly were in that regard a forerunner to what we were doing. How do you compare? You've done work. You worked in the BVI, Turks and Caicos. You went to Mexico, and now you're in St. Bart's. How does St. Bart's compare to all of those other experiences?
The other experiences. Well, the one experience that I have in common is that it's a property that's at the beginning or of a revamp or something, and kind of bring it back up again, and kind of put it back on the map. If you can kind of compare St. Bart's, each island in the Caribbean has its own uniquenesses, and they have their own flavors, and they have all their own advantages, and they're all beautiful. As it happens to be, St. Bart's is very French, and it kind of looks a little bit, and it provides a little bit like a part of the south of France. And sometimes I explain it like it's a part of the south of France that broke off, floated over the Atlantic, and got stuck in the Caribbean.
That's a good way to explain.
And then the history has been very different too. It always has been a very dry island, a very rock, so nothing grew there. So not many people have ever lived there, and it's really, it's really tourism when that started up in the 80s that kind of the island started flourishing.
Well, St. Bart's has this cachet in the marketplace and elsewhere in terms of its attracting lots of mega yachts and lots of movie stars and the like. Do you get a ton of them at
we get our share. We get our fair share, so it's very interesting.
Demanding and easygoing?
No, in general, everybody is pretty, as long as you're there, and you try to anticipate their needs and their expectations, and you're kind of visible and you make sure they have access and you make sure they have the privacy, then it works, and then it's
a lot easier.
it makes it much easier.
You mentioned South America in terms of well, not an immediately new market, but are you looking at elsewhere for potential business over time, globally?
It's kind of growing. So these were our three main markets. What we've seen is that Europe is picking up again a little bit.
Okay.
So
any particular parts?
We've seen it's a little bit. So we've got Switzerland, Belgium, Holland, Italy. So they're kind of are coming back up again a little bit. And then the UK market, which is really our fourth market.
UK is the economy there is
and that's an economy that's pretty strong. And as well, we have trade wind again flying from Antigua directly into St. Bart's. So
again, air access. If you don't have it, you're not going anywhere.
No.
And if you have it, you certainly have hopes to.
But then the nice thing as well, I think, of St. Bart's is because it's such a small island. You know, and if you look, we have in total, we have like 450 hotel rooms on the island. And as well, the fact that the runway is so small, it maintains, well, it allows the island to maintain a little bit of the cachet that it has.
Okay.
Yeah, because you need still, you can fly into your private jet, which can go into St. Martin or San Juan or Anguilla, but then you have to get in this little plane and kind of do the hop over. And, you know, it just does something that, you know, so that we can kind of keep who we are.
Keep that, That's unique, actually. How do you well, you're from Holland, so is the French culture, was that a challenge in terms of employees?
Well, fortunate. My first job ever, so after I finished hotel school in Holland, was in the south of France.
Okay.
So hence I learned my French, and that I can use now, so that kind of makes it work. And I kind of understand a little bit, but you know, it's like everything. Each culture does have its own elements, and you just have to adapt to them.
What single thing would you say, Martin, is today, particularly at the end of the market that you are in, and I think it's in many ways similar to the BVI, what single thing that we have all collectively got to get right, or we can see our business reduce over time, go south?
Personalization.
Okay.
So each client wants to be identified on their own, want to be recognized on its merits, and as well that you kind of know what their expectations are, and you cater for them, you look after them.
It's interesting because it's you hear it more and more. Do you attract the millennial crowd as yet? Or?
We have. The nice thing kind of St. Bart's is kind of a little bit like, you know, it does have this kind of happy part to it you know, we do have a lot of social life, and as an island, or basically as a destination, I think the big difference with other destinations is that very often when visitors are coming to a Caribbean island, the hotel is kind of their destination, and they might go out once or twice and kind of see and explore the island a little bit. So St. Bart's is kind of the opposite of that. You know, because I think because of the size and because it is rather pretty and it's well manicured. We, for example, 90% of our guests rent a car. And people drive around, and it's the social aspect. Now, Gustavia, where you have your shopping, we have on our little island, we have 70 restaurants on the island. So it is much more social and outgoing, and so in that respect, I think that's kind of what sets St. Bart's a little bit apart from the other islands.
Clearly, with the French influence, a strong restaurant scene.
You got the French influence, and then as well, you know, and then as the quality of the food, which is another thing why St. Bart's is known for. But again, because nothing really grows there, so we have to import. We have to import everything, and most of our fresh produce, except the fish that we have locally, we import from France.
And that's where St. Martin comes in.
And then because then we get the Air France flights, so 1 or 2 flights a day, and as well KLM that flies in there, so we get the produce. So from St. Martin, it comes then directly to St. Bart's.
Good. We'll be very pleased to have you.
Thank you.
And welcome to Business BVI.
It's good to be back, and thank you for the opportunity.